let's do this. It is Friday, 2nd of December. I'll run over real quick and get a sign and lock box from a unit that is moving in today. Still trying to keep up on my tasks that have the ability to slip my focus. So I talked about that earlier in the year, that made a decision to try and lock in on completing these less important tasks and keeping up to date on them instead of letting them slide and then ending up in a situation where I'm kind of behind. So been trying to stay on that, and at the time I talked about the importance of making those decisions and making those commitments, and the importance of maintaining those decisions, and that's where I'm at. I feel pretty good about where I'm at. You know, I've had my ups and downs where some things will get away from me, but I'm quick to identify those things and jump back in and pick it up, where it would be just as easy to say, fuck it, you know, let's procrastinate that off another day or 2 days, and then you forget about it, and then you get this list of all these things that you've let slide, and you've got this large accumulation of things that need to be done. What is going on up here? Anyway, keeping up on my tasks. So this whole week has been busy. I've had all kinds of things going on, responsibilities, obligations, tasks to be completed, events to attend, and really haven't had a whole lot of time to do it all, really. So I've had to make decisions. I've had to prioritize, and things like working out, which I have not done the entire week, have not made the cut. I have not been able to sit down in the evenings and play my after-work game of chess. I have not been able to spend the kind of time that I would like to spend at this point actually generating pages for the book. But I still feel pretty good. I feel comfortable in what I've been doing and what I've accomplished, and with this busy schedule and getting into this time of year, there's always these little extra things that are associated with the holidays. So, you know, we traveled last week. We made it to Illinois and back. No big deal. We got back. We have not been on our normal cycle as far as, you know, our routines for maintaining the house. So I'm out of whack with my plant watering schedule, and I'm out of whack with my grocery shopping schedule, and we don't have all of the things that we generally keep on hand at home to prepare meals. So gone out to eat several times this week. I've made a couple meals at home, but you know, it's just not quite what our normal routine is. So just a little bit, I don't want to say out of sorts, but just slightly out of sync. So I'm having to spend a little more time focusing on what needs to be done, because when you've got the routines going, you just habitually go through those cycles, and you have a sequence that is a checks and balances that allows you to complete everything that you wish to complete. So there's been a few things here and there that I've slipped my mind. You know, at the 2nd of the month here, and work-wise, it's move-out time. We've got people turning in keys, and there's for me, it's the busiest time of the month to ability to hover above the things that used to bog me down. And I'm very pleased, I'm very proud of what I have gotten myself to as far as not allowing stress to dictate my days, my hours. And there's been some situations that have come up that in the past would have thrown me through a loop. And I've had a very unusual, for me anyway, calm in regards to these things. Just that I have faith now that as long as I keep a positive outlook and I don't let the fear of certain situations perpetuate more bad situations in my life. And just to give some examples, we made the trip, we got back, no big deal. We decided that we were going to, we talked about it for a while, and there were some good deals. We decided we were going to buy new appliances for the kitchen, partially because, one, it increases the value of our house, and we're still considering the possibility of a refinance or a second mortgage or even just selling. So it's an investment. It was a costly investment, and costly in the perspective of where we come from. Because for me, just to go out and spend just over $3,000 for something, I don't care what it is, that's a big expense to me. But there was a time in my life, not too long ago, less than 5 years ago, where going out and spending $75 could have had the same impact. So we've gone up in scale, and as we've gone up in scale, the idea of dropping $100 on something has no effect on me whatsoever. It's like everyday living now. It's like picking up a pack of gum for 75 cents in the store would have been, at some point in my life. I can go out and I can spend a couple $100 without having budgeted and anticipated and planned it. I can just do it, and I know that it's not going to break me. I'm not going to be on the verge of bankruptcy by doing that. So we've gotten ourselves to this point, but it's still, as proud as I am for my ability to put myself into those situations, it was still a little bit stressful going in there and making that commitment, and the store saying, yes, we want this, boom, this is what we're getting, and going to the register and paying for it. There's a little bit of buyer's remorse to it. All right, can I really afford this? Is this really a good idea? And I have to keep reminding myself, and this has been the process all along, is that constant reminder process, that constant, I can do this, I can make this happen, it's not the end of the world, I'm not overextending to the point where I'm going to fall out of balance. I can do this. And as long as I can maintain that positive focus on that and eliminate or not let the fear overrun me and the stress, the more I'm going to perpetuate that in my life. And I believe that 100%, and I've been practicing it for years, and step by step, gradually, I have been moving forward. I've been progressing as far as where we're at and what we can do in this world. And it's good, and it's that mindset, but it's still a constant practice. It's a constant focus. I have to remember to do these things, and I have to remind myself when I get into those stressful situations that are potentially stressful situations, and money is a potentially stressful situation for most people. So we made that arrangement. I'm comfortable with it. I'm happy with it. We've got some new marble tile. Going to redo the countertop in the kitchen again. It's a little bit more of an expense, but it's improving the value. It's increasing the value of our home, and hopefully will pay off down the road. And I'm really not allowing the potential of, oh shit, how am I going to afford this, creep into my mind. I know right now I had to charge it. I had to use credit to buy it, but I know that even if for some reason our income doesn't dramatically increase in the next can still pay for this. We can still, without really having to cut too many corners. We may have to eliminate one night a week of going out to eat, but I'm trying to move us along in this scale of financial ability, and I'm happy with where we're going. And it's the higher you get, the potential for fear of falling is there. So it's managing that is the key right now. So having said all of that, unexpected expenses at one time would have sent me into a tizzy. They could have crashed me out for days, weeks, and even months for a situation that came up that I was not prepared or did not anticipate. So we drove the Jeep to work yesterday. Rhonda had to go out and went, and it wouldn't start. So it's the first time since we've broken out of the official warranty period of the Jeep, because we put over 70,000 miles on it in 2 years because of how much I drive for work, which is it's not important. But so we bought the car. We bought this extended warranty that, in the sales person's terms, would basically extend the bumper-to-bumper warranty for as long as we owned it. So it didn't matter how many miles we put on it, didn't matter what we did, as long as we owned it, we were going to be covered for essentially everything that could go wrong with it, except for things like brake pads and batteries and headlights and wiper blades and things like that are designed to wear out and need replacement and aren't generally covered by those warranties. And the only thing that would be different was there would be a $50 deductible for every maintenance visit. So if 10 things go wrong with the car, we take them in and all 10 of them are fixed, it's a $150 deductible. If something goes wrong today and I take it in today, $50 deductible. If I take it in tomorrow for something that happened tomorrow, another $50 deductible. So I love that. But it almost sounded too good to be true. I mean, we paid a good price for it when we bought the vehicle. So it seemed legit, but still, you never know because you don't really see the fine print, and you don't, I've had warranties and things like that before, and you're like, it sounds like a good deal, and then it comes up where you need to use it, and they're like, sorry, not covered. And you're like, fuck, why did I spend all that money? But anyway, so the first test of, how is this warranty actually going to function now that we are in the period where we now have to use that and apply that. And it worked. I couldn't have been more happy. I called, and I was somewhat hesitant to even call and ask, but I was called and said, all right, it's a situation. We're out of the normal factory warranty. We bought the extended warranty. The car won't start. I need assistance. So even with the warranty, I wasn't 100% sure that roadside assistance was still included in that. We find out yesterday it is. So somebody came out and they jump started it. I was really actually worried that it was more the starter and not the battery, but they came out, they were able to jump it, which indicated to me it's the battery and not the starter. So took it up to AutoZone and had them run a test on it to see what kind of life was left in it, and of course it comes back 100% bad, so it needs to be replaced. And I'm sitting there, and we're having to do this on our lunch, and we had to take our lunch early because we called to get it, somebody to come check it out. They came and they jump started it, and we really couldn't turn it off. Didn't want to turn it off anyway, until we got to someplace where it was going to be. We left and have access to our other car. So the plan was, when they got there, we would take our lunch early, drive the car home, and get the other car and finish out our day. And I had a lot of places I needed to be yesterday, at that time of the month. So not having a vehicle was very difficult and detrimental to my day. So the guy jump starts it, we drive it to AutoZone, boom, and then we're like, all right, well, we had to shut it off for him to be able to check the battery, which we were worried about. All right, now we're going to have it jump started again because I don't think it's going to start again. But we're like, we need a battery. We might as well just buy it here. They'll install it for us for free. We don't have to go anywhere else. And but it was, the cheapest one that they had for this vehicle was $170 plus with tax and everything. It was just shy of $200. So I was consciously aware that I was not experiencing anxiety over the unexpected cost. I was not experiencing anxiety of having to take my lunch at a earlier time, taking me out of sync for my day. Plus, using my lunch time for something that is not my normal routine, eating something and having a nap, taking a meditative state to reboot, which is crucial to me to the prosperity of my day. I'm locked into that. I at this point really need to do that. It makes me a better worker. It makes me a better individual. It's better for me all the way around to have that afternoon break. So I'm, the idea of sacrificing my personal time, my downtime, to take care of something that needs to be taken care of, that always has the potential to send me into a downward spiral. It can definitely affect my mood. But, I kept a positive attitude. I didn't have to. I just realized that I really wasn't feeling the anxiety, the stress that I would normally feel about that. The possibility of having to spend money on a repair, even if it was a $50 deductible to have the starter replaced or whatever would happen. Those are the kinds of things that in the past would have had a very negative impact on my mood. And I was very aware that I was feeling very relaxed. I was feeling very at ease. I wasn't feeling the potential to be overrun with emotion. And it wasn't the most pleasurable experience to drop $200 on a battery that I wasn't expecting to buy, but I had to keep reminding myself that we're in a position that we can do these things now, and we were not before. And I like that we are able to do that now and not have to stress or contact family members or figure out how are we going to do this. I'm not going to be able to pay the utility bills now because I had to put a battery in the car. And there's thousands, millions of people all over that live like that still, and it's taken me some extreme effort to get to this point where we can do this, and I'm very happy with it. It doesn't make me happy about spending $200 that I didn't want to spend, but I'm happy that I was able to do it, and I'm extremely happy that it didn't send me into a panic. So we did that. We went home. We ate something. Didn't really get to relax any, but was able to get back to work. And we're driving back to work, and I could hear we had to take two cars. So we went home. Rhonda took the Jeep because we both had places to go in the afternoon. And I took the Mustang. And the Mustang, as I was pulling out of the driveway, I could notice it was clicking. The tires were clicking. I mean, something is stuck in the tires. And I was like, all right, maybe it's a rock, maybe it'll fall out as I'm driving. But through the whole trip, all the way back to the office and into the office parking lot, click, 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 click. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just spent $200 on a battery. I had to take time to address that, to handle that. And now I am facing the possibility of having to address another automotive issue. And but I was my first gut reaction that started to creep in the second I heard that clicking is, you've got to be fucking kidding me. On top of what I just went through with one car, now I've got something. What else could go wrong? And that's where my mind would have gone. That's where traditionally, historically, I would have drifted into that mindset, and I think most people would or do, and Rhonda did. I mean, she was like, oh my God, everything's happening at once. She wasn't having a good day to begin with, but from an outsider looking in at her day, the more she allowed those situations to have an effect on her, and the more stress she got about it, the more those situations evolved and got worse, and additional circumstances and situations started to pop up around her. And I've been there. I've seen that. I've lived that show before, and it sucks. So I did everything in my power to try and stay neutral, because as much as you want to help somebody get through those situations, the most annoying thing I think you can do is be overly positive with those individuals and say, hey, and try to talk them out of it and talk them down. I think, from my point of view, when somebody does that to me, it just pisses me off. But I mean, I think when you do that, something internally rebels. I think something internally just automatically wants to fight that, and you unintentionally reinforce that in other people when you're like, all right, well, it's not that bad, look on the bright side. I think inside people feel like they're being told that what they're feeling is wrong. And it's not wrong, it's just uncomfortable, it's unpleasant, and nobody wants to see anybody, especially people they care for, suffer like that. So they habitually and instinctively try to fix it, but in fixing it, you really have the potential to make it worse. And because they're going to fight back, they're going to, in their mind, it's going to bolster it in their mind, because they're going to feel like they're fighting against somebody telling them that their worries and their stresses and their anxiety and their anger are not valid. And so they are going to validate it more in their mind. And it's possible you could get the rare circumstance where you tell somebody, hey, look on the bright side, it could be worse, you got this, and this, and they'd be like, oh yeah, thanks for doing that, great. But in my experience, what I've seen, that doesn't happen. So I tried to, one, focus on me not falling into that mindset, and two, not forcing my point of view on there. What I was really focusing on was, without saying anything, just demonstrating a casual approach to all of it. So, I was just trying to, without shining a spotlight on the fact that I was not letting it bother me, I was just not letting it bother me and hoping that she would pick up on that and it would have a bit of a carryover effect. Well, if Jason's not worried about it, maybe I don't need to be worried about it, and let her come to that conclusion herself, without trying to put up a map and a diagram saying this, and this, and this, and you should do this, and you could do this, and if you do this, this is going to happen, and I just let it happen on its own. And she had to struggle through that through the day, and it was uncomfortable to watch. It did not make me happy to see her stressed out like that. But those are the types of things individuals have to address on their own. And I again just have to look at my ability to approach that, because I would have been worse off than her if it was me. Years ago, 2-3 years ago, I would have been a mess, and I would have been like, fuck you and fuck you and fuck you. I've been fuck the world, and I'm glad that I don't end up in those situations, or I did not yesterday. I can't say that I don't do that anymore, because the potential is always there. You can always revert back and find yourself back in that mindset in those unfortunate, uncomfortable situations. So we made it through the day, and again, we had so many things going on. We were involved with this gingerbread building competition for the Board of Realtors, and I was excited about it. I like creating things like that, and I love competition. So Steve came up with this idea, and I came up with the mechanics of it, and built all the components and put this thing together and created what I thought was a really impressive creation. And but I took about 4 hours of my workday yesterday to do it in the office, and then we had to go to the event last night, which we didn't have to stay very long for, which was good, because it was going to definitely affect our evening. But we got through all of it, and today we've got just our normal Friday. It was Taco Day, love Taco Day, and then we've got the weekend. But we've got another thing tomorrow for NARPM, where we have leadership training for this new, because we both got talked into taking chairperson roles with some of the committees with our local NARPM chapter, which wasn't really my first choice, and I was hesitant and tried to fight it, but I do want to be involved a little bit more in that, and I think it's also going to be a good stepping stone, just like it has been for me in the path that I'm pursuing. Being involved in NARPM has really given me access to and given me experience that I really need. So giving back and being on a committee and chairing a committee is something that was somewhat hesitant and reluctant to do, but I feel good in having done it, and I'm looking forward to moving on down that road. But we've got Saturday morning class training for 4 hours that it means we got to get up on a Saturday morning and go do things that are related to work, whereas I would normally like to get up and go do my grocery shopping and relax and have some lunch and take a nap and work out maybe and play a game of chess and maybe spin a new wand, or just things like that, water the plants, just put up our Christmas lights, all kinds of things that I would really much rather be doing. But again, I'm trying to not allow these obligations to bring down my level of enthusiasm toward life, because in the past those kinds of things have an effect on me. They have that ability to put me in a mindset, in a mood, in a position where I'm not pleasant to be around, and I'm not enjoying life. And I try to really not schedule myself to too many things. I really don't. We have the training in the morning. There's a party tomorrow night. Who doesn't like parties? Parties are great, but I am hesitant to go because it's an obligation. It's a commitment. All right, well, now I know on my Saturday night I have to go to this party, and when I see that way, in that mindset, I have to go to this party, it seems like work. It seems like I have it built up in my mind as something that's not good. And I'll probably have a good time, and I'll probably get some food and some drinks that I'll enjoy, and it'll be a good experience. But leading up to that, it's like, all right, well, now my whole Saturday is gone. I don't have any of my Saturday to myself because I have training in the morning, and I've got this party in the evening, and there's a hockey game too on top of that, and I feel bad because I haven't been to too many of the hockey games, and I enjoy them. And Steve bought tickets, and only there's been 10 games and tickets have only been used for one, and that bothers me. But again, even the hockey games, because to me it's an obligation. Well, there's hockey games on Saturday and Sunday, and with most people, or if you're living a good, happy, focused, joyful life, you're like, I get to go to the hockey game on Saturday and Sunday. But in my mind, I'm thinking like, all right, there's hockey games, somebody has to go, somebody should use the tickets, I have to go to this. And again, it's playing with your perception and your perspective to shift it from I have to do this to I get to do this. And but it's taking away from and I like a lot of free time. I like a lot of quiet time, and I don't get nearly as much as I would like to have, and I really try to embrace and savor the bit that I do get. And but I'm not letting it affect me. I'm trying to mentally focus on, all right, these are good things in my life. These are good things that I would not historically in my past been able to do. So I'm trying to embrace them, but it's a trade-off. There's right now just not enough hours in the day for me to work out, to play chess, to spend time meditating, to just space out, to watch television, to watch movies, to do all those things, because between work and then I'm trying to generate this book, and I'm trying to compile this production that it's going to be my speaking career. There's just a lot going on. So it's just this whole last couple weeks has been a whirlwind, and it's going to be like that for the next month and a half, which will culminate in us going on a cruise in about 7 weeks, which I am really looking forward to. My neck's all jacked up today. But I have to go back to what I originally started recording this about. I'm very happy with my ability to keep these things in perspective in my mind that is keeping me happy. I'm able to maintain a certain level of happiness in my life by not allowing these negative mindsets to rain on my parade. Get it, training. And that's I'm good. I'm very pleased and very proud of that. I'm feel good about that, and I feel like the more I live that focus, the more those things come to me. The more I live in, all right, I've got enough money to do this. I've got enough time to do this. I've got nothing but good circumstances ahead of me. I've got nothing but good situations. I've got nothing but good interactions laying in front of me. The things that would normally have the ability to ruin that are slowly fading away out of existence. The less value that I give them in my mind, the less value they have. And that is real. That is what I'm experiencing in my life, and that's what I've experienced over the last several years. Is as I have whittled away those pitfalls, those traps that I would fall into, and put myself into a terrible state of anger and rage and frustration, and I'm not finding myself in those situations anymore, and the catalysts that would normally cause those are fading away as well. The less impact I let them have on me when they come about, the less they come about. And I'm just not experiencing, and there was a period in my life, and I still see it in other people's lives. It's just a non-stop barrage of bad things happening. And the more they stress, the more they think about, the more they spend time stewing about those things, the more those things come. And it's taken me years to slowly take a step and say, all right, I think this in theory will be effective. If I get into a bad situation and I don't allow it to stress me out, and then the first time it happens, I am on a scale of 1 to 100, 100 being the most stressed that I could possibly be and the highest anxiety level, and 100 being my common place of living. The next time one comes around, I'm at 99.5%. You know, we're dropping fractional, but every time we drop, I feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more reassured that the theory is valid. And the next time, I'm like, all right, well, I noticed the slightest bit of difference in my life when I didn't react so intensely to those situations, and the next time it drops maybe another percent or two. And so over time, every time, practice and repetitive, the reactions to the situations were diminished, and the frequency of occurring was diminished, and my ability to find happiness in life and maintain happiness without those huge drop-offs when bad things happen, and that's only bad things. It's a term that I really don't like to attach to that, but it's really the only way to convey that. When those perceived bad things happen, the way I react to them and move forward has been effective in eliminating those situations in my life. Same thing with money. The more I feel like I have enough money to do whatever I want, the more I feel that my financial situation is solid and can even take a punch here or there, the more solid it becomes. And I've played around in my mind with that approach, and
incoming call from Boardwalk Mobile.
Hello.
Hey, do you have the Lockbox server, Nito? Is that what you're getting?
I'm picking it up now, yeah.
So I can, when they get here, I can give them 2 keys, the only 2 we have. Alright, because you have a key?
Theoretically, I'm in the driveway, but I haven't pulled the box off yet. There should be a key in there, I'm assuming, since Myra was able to use it to get in, so...
Okay, I just didn't want to give her both of them if we didn't have one.
Why do we only have... Shouldn't we have 3?
I don't know. I suppose. There's only 2.
Was it rekeyed? Hopefully it was. If there's only 2 in there...
There's a rekey. Yeah, it was rekeyed on October 5th.
Okay. So
Okay.
we should be good.
All right.
I'm gonna pull it and I'll be back.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye. So
Phone call completed.
completely sidetracked, and I don't remember what I left off on, but it's really I think I was getting more into, again, some of the deeper, heavier philosophical ideas as far as, especially with money, the idea of abundance. Because I've gone through stretches since we've been here in Texas, which has allowed me to really experiment with this mindset, perception, perspective, theory about money. So I've gone through periods where nothing has changed. Our financial cash in and out is usually the same for a year, sometimes 2 years at a time, with very, very little changing. Our money coming in, our paychecks, with the exception of when we get a raise, is the same. Nothing changes. Our outgoing bills, with the exception of like Christmas when we know we're going to have to spend extra money, it very rarely changes. I pay the bills every 2 weeks, and I know that there's going to be a certain amount of money left above and beyond that, and we can spend that money however we want. And in those stretches, I have noticed that there are times, periods, and this was early on, where even with the money, paying all the bills, and for me, that is a huge win, because there was been a lot of time in my life where I just wasn't able to pay the bills. So it's a huge win in my life when I sit down every payday, and it's one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite things, I know that sounds weird, but it's one of my favorite things to do in this life right now, is to sit down on payday and pay every one of the bills, and knowing that every one of them's paid, we had enough money to pay them, and there's still some money left over. That is I love that. And depending on my perception, and again, this was early on, when we first did it, and if we had enough to pay the bills, whether there was anything left or not, I just felt good, and that was a win. And as we slowly went on, a couple months more down the road, and we were living that pattern of life and feeling that amount of comfort, that we're paying the bills, we're existing, we have the things that we need, and we're paying the bills. And there was no flexibility, no leeway. And then, you know, our situations changed a little bit, some pay increases, different things, some, you know, financial things may have made a change and saved us some money here or there, and then we started having a little bit more of a cushion. There was a little bit more, there was some left in the bank after it was done. We weren't putting anything in savings, you know, we weren't building anything, but, you know, this is the step-by-step process. We were paying the bills, and now we were having some. So when we got to that first part, that first phase of that, stepping out of, you know, we can pay the bills now, and now we can pay the bills, and we have some money left. So let's say that lasted for a year, where really nothing changed. The incoming money and outgoing money was exactly the same. Early on in that, the first couple of paychecks, it was like, great, we have $50 left over, because we never had it before. You know, if we want to stop and get a burger on the way home from work, if we want to go get a taco for lunch, we can do it, because we've got the money to do it, as long as we don't go overboard. It's keeping it in perspective. And we started doing things like that, or you know, we could put $25 in savings, and then we would have money that is in the bank that we're not even going to spend, and we don't have to save it for something else. It's just saving it. It's establishing that groundwork, that perspective. And you know, over a period of time, then it just felt like, all right, well, I enjoy this, but I want more, and we just don't have enough. And then it seemed like there was that shift, that perspective shift. I was paying the bills, and I was looking at what was left, and I was thinking, all right, it's not enough. We just don't. It must be a train. The ground is rumbling. I thought it was an airplane, but anyway. So we're like, all right, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Because every paycheck was coming and it was the same, and then, again, this is over a year or so, and then there's another increase in pay, or something happens, something changes, and we've got a little bit more, and but when we get those increases, we usually expand our debt also a little bit, because we've got a little bit more leeway. We can, get something that we needed or wanted that we had been putting off. And the sequence though was, I would get into a cycle and feel like, all right, everything's paid for and I've got this much money and it's the same every week. But for a while I would have this mindset that I have to be cautious, I have to be really very careful of what I spend it on, because it's not enough to get through the 2 weeks and I can very easily blow it. And that's a legitimate concern. You really want to understand how far your money goes and what things cost and what you can realistically spend, so that you're not sitting in a situation where you're 4 days into the pay cycle and you've got to wait another week and a half to get paid and you have nothing, which I would find myself in that situation. And it perpetuated that idea that I just don't have enough, I just don't have enough, I just don't have enough, there's not enough money in our account. And I really didn't change anything. This is where it really hit me, that this theory of abundance without having an actual physical change. It hit me one day. I got paid and I was feeling really good that day, and I was like, you know what, we've got enough money to do whatever we want, and for some reason I just felt like it's good. Nothing had changed. We had the same amount left over after bills as we had had for weeks before that, but I just felt like we had enough. I felt like we had enough to do whatever we wanted. And we got all the way through the 2 week period, and I was like, we made it all the way through the 2 week period without hitting that period of days going, all right, well, now we have to wait for payday to be able to do anything. And nothing had changed except for my perception, my mindset when I got paid, that this is enough money to do whatever I want. And so the next pay cycle came, and again, nothing had changed. We paid all the bills, the sequence, the everything was exactly the same. And I still had that feeling. We made it all the way through the pay period last time, and now we're in the same situation. I have everything I need. We can do whatever we want. We can spend whatever we want. And I became less focused on the stress every time we decided to do something, which I was heavily focused on the stress. I'm going to say, all right, well, I don't feel like cooking dinner tonight. You want to get burgers tonight. All right, but we have a limited amount of money, so if we do that, it's going to affect where we're going to be in 2 weeks. And I shifted out of that. I stopped thinking about it. My mind didn't even go there. I just would wake up, we would go do our thing, and be like, I don't feel like cooking tonight. We don't really have anything at home. Let's get a pizza tonight. And we'd do it. And I didn't have any buyer's remorse. I didn't have any guilt. I didn't have any fear that we were going to be short of money come before the next pay period, and have a few days where we were just going to have to not have any money to spend. And every pay cycle, it was reinforced. I felt more and more like that. And after a few months of living like that, it all of a sudden hit me, nothing had changed. We were still getting the same amount of money every month. Nothing had changed. We were still paying the same dollar amount of bills every month. Nothing had changed. But we were, with very few exceptions, making it all the way through from one paycheck to the next without running out of money. And the only thing that was different was my perspective at that time when I got paid, and through that period, is my perspective was, there's enough. We have enough. We can do whatever we want. If I want to go out to eat every meal, and we had some weeks like that. We had weeks where we went out to eat every meal. And I cannot, in my mind, generate the math to support that, because it doesn't make any sense, because we lived on that much money and we're running out every time before the next pay cycle, every time for weeks, until I changed my perspective, until I changed my perception of what we had and what was available and what we could do. And then once that changed and I reinforced that and I lived that for several weeks, all of a sudden we had everything that we needed. All the bills were getting paid. We could go out whenever we wanted. We could buy whatever we wanted. And granted, our we weren't going out and dropping $500 on a prime steakhouse, but I didn't have to budget it in my mind and saying, all right, well, we can go out to 2 restaurants and spend $400 each time in the next 2 weeks, or we can go out to 20 restaurants and spend whatever the math ends up to be on that. I just took that whole thing out of my perspective, just eliminated it, and focused on there's enough money. We have enough money to do whatever we want, and we have enough credit that if we run out of money, we can still do whatever we want. And the more I lived in that, the more it became a reality, and the more it was there in my life. And then, the next year or so comes around and our pays increases, and I'm like, all right, well, we lived that whole last half of that cycle on that pay increase very comfortably, and now we've got this new pay increase, and we can do even more, and our spending increased. The things that we bought at home, because we love food, and we love wine, and we love bourbon, and we love beer, we love all those things, and we like purchasing them. We like going into the store and saying, that looks good, I want to try that. And there's certain things that we enjoy having around the house that, expensive cheeses and import this and import that we, every once in a while, before we'd be like, all right, we're going to splurge and we're going to get that. Our now everyday staples in our home. Every time we go to the grocery store, goat cheese, fresh mozzarella cheese, some type of cured meat, a variety of breakfast meats, bacon, and stuff that at one point in our life were completely out of reach. We would never consider spending money on those because we didn't have the money. And now we don't even think about it. We just do it. And for some reason, and I can't again go back and do the math on it, there's enough. There's enough money there. We're not building debt, because we had gone through periods in our life where we're like, well, I deserve this, and I'm gonna use my credit, and I'm gonna live for today, and I'm gonna buy this today, and I don't know how I'm gonna pay for it later. And then once you hit your max credit limit, and all of a sudden you don't have that money anymore, and then you're looking at how am I gonna pay all that credit off, and then you end up in a situation where you're miserable and you have to file bankruptcy, which I've done twice in my life. But it was all a matter of how I was approaching my life, because even during times of abundance, I felt like those were limited, that the abundance was going to had an expiration date on it, and eventually it was going to run out. And when I removed that concept from my mind, that there was no expiration date on the abundance in my life, I have not had a down cycle. It's just perpetuating in an upward manner, and I feel fantastic about it. So I need to get this sign and lockbox off and get back to the office because I have other things to do. But this my mind was there today, and I really needed to hit this because it's important, and it really factors into some of the things that I want to put in this book. So I couldn't be happier, and again, it's about the choices that I've made in my perception, my perspective, how I choose to see the world, how I choose to see my situations, and how I react to situations that are less than favorable. And it's those reactions to the less than favorable situations that I'm the most amazed by, because the more I've gone through this, the less of an effect those situations have on me, and the less they come about. And basically, I'm negating them. I'm removing them from my existence, and that's a fantastic feeling. I mean, how can you not feel good about that? And it's not something that is specific and special only to me. This is something anybody can do. Anybody can change and alter their view of their reality to achieve these same things. So anyway, I got to get back to work and do the things that I'm getting paid to do, and get through my Friday.